So we knew we were going to be dealing with a blockade runner escaping from the calamari ship. We were cutting the film together, and my editor, Jabez Olsen, he said, I think you need to see one last moment with Darth Vader. Like, I think he needs to have like a badass moment. And we all felt the same way. When he mentioned this, it was about 4 months maybe from release. And so we thought, oh, maybe we've missed the opportunity to do this. And Kathy Kennedy came in, and Jabez pitched this idea to her, and she really loved it. The way I like to work is you try and come up with visual milestones of like, well, I'd love to see this, and I'd love to see this, and I'd love to see this. I'm not sure how they all connect. And then what you do is you create visuals of things that would be great, and then you try and find a way of linking them all. And we had 3 days to shoot this sequence. We just had a brainstorming session, like what's cool shots, little moments that, you know, we feel we'd want to see in here. And I really like the idea of them all being trapped, and that Vader's going to kill every single one of them, and that potentially the only thing that can escape is, you know, the card that Princess Leia gives to R2-D2. What's interesting about that card actually is that there is no record whatsoever of what that looks like. The only reference whatsoever is in the Blu-ray of A New Hope, and there's one close-up where she starts to slide it in, and we just couldn't, that's all we had to base this card on. And so it looked like they'd made a kind of credit card, but with also a disc in it, like a gold disc. The props department, you know, suggested a few different ideas, and I think they did a really good job of trying to match that perfectly. I was highly aware of where that prop was for the Death Star plans, and I took that prop, and so that, I'm not saying where it is, but I did steal the Death Star plans. I think the golden rule was not to let Vader do anything you haven't seen or established in the original trilogy. And so everything you sort of see him doing down that corridor is pretty much something from the previous films. Greg, the DOP, actually had Vader hold a real lightsaber, so in the sense that it would, when you turn it on, it would actually light up. And the problem was, if when you turn that on, you can't see Vader, you just see the lightsaber. So we put a light behind Vader and smoked up the background so that as it was synchronized, as the lightsaber turns on, the background illuminates and you see the silhouette, because it feels like the most iconic thing about Vader is that silhouette. And I guess it's sort of represented in this sequence, but with the film we tried to do a mixture of the very classical, very considered camera moves, you know, that you saw in the original trilogy, and then sort of more frenetic, handheld, sort of embedded photography. And this sequence, I really like the way it sort of intercuts both styles, and I think that contrast is what keeps it energetic. I knew I wanted to have a cameo in the film because I love Star Wars so much, but I was saving it for the right thing, and it felt very appropriate to play the guy who runs down the corridor and pulls the handle, because that way I get to survive, and therefore technically, according to Star Wars canon, I'm in Episode 4, A New Hope. And I like to think that guy is kind of the savior of the entire rebellion, really. Everything kind of, the whole original trilogy and the prequels and everything all comes through that one person. And if it wasn't for him, you know, there'd be no Star Wars. And so I'm still waiting for the action figure.
PG-13.